Ladies and gentlemen, I'll invite you to please stand for the national anthem of Barbados. Please be seated. Good morning to you all again. I am Russell King, Senior Manager, Operations and Corporate Secretary here at the Student Revolving Loan Fund. Again, welcome. Now, it's my pleasure to firstly acknowledge members of the head table, the Honorable Sandra Husbands, MP, Minister of Training and Tertiary Education, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Training and Tertiary Education and current Chair of the Student Revolving Loan Fund, Mr. Patrick McCaskey, Chief Education Officer, and Deputy Chair of the Student Revolving Loan Fund, Dr. Ramona Archer Bradshaw, Chief Executive Officer of the Student Revolving Loan Fund, Mr. Ambrose Johnson. Welcome to the launch of the Student Revolving Loans Fund new loan solution initiative, EDUFLEX. Now, you will certainly be hearing quite a bit more detail regarding the EDUFLEX initiative as the launch progresses. But what I can say at this juncture is that the thrust behind the initiative stems from the recognition and indeed the need to diversify our loan offerings in order to capture a wider cross-section of Barbadians desirous of enhancing their individual skills, as well as providing assistance to those persons, mainly parents and guardians, for example, who support our young people as they embark upon their educational journey. Kindly note that you would have each received a folder comprising of material regarding our current initiative. Now, without further delay, as time is of the essence today, please welcome to the podium the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Training and Tertiary Education and Chair of the Student Revolving Loan Fund, Mr. Patrick McCaskey. No worries.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As the recently appointed Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Training and Tertiary Education and Chairman of the Student Revolving Loan Fund, I am indeed extremely pleased to support this initiative of the Student Revolving Loan Fund. As you know, the SRLF has a rich history of corporate social responsibility, and it has contributed tremendously to the environmental and social governance framework of this country. From my association with the SRLF and in my new capacity as chairman, it has been my observation that the Student Revolving Loan Fund is a well-structured, managed and state-owned enterprise. Actually, one of the best state-owned enterprises in this country out of the 55 that I'm aware of. And this has a lot to do with the hard work and dedication of the staff. And we must applaud the contribution of the staff. Now, this launch of this unique EDUFLEX loan solution is, in particular, as well as the back-to-school loan facility, is a clear example of the fund's success in fulfilling its corporate mandate. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I wish to introduce you the Honorable Sandra Husbands, Minister of Training, Tertiary Education, to give your remarks.
Thank you very much, PS. And let me say good morning, and it is really a pleasure to be here with you. I am so pleased with what we're about to launch today, because it is going to be critical to helping Barbados to go forward. Barbados is only as strong as what is happening in the lives of its citizens. Barbados is only as powerful as the collective actions of its citizens. And Barbados is only as rich as the collective mind power of Barbadians is targeted towards pushing us towards our goals. Each person matters. So I want to be able to welcome you to this launch today of the Student Revolving Loan Fund's EDUFLEX loan facility. Shortened term for education flexibility, but the young people will know what we mean when we say flex. This loan solution strategy encompasses a suite of loans which have been specifically crafted to assist Barbadians in achieving both their academic and professional goals. The suite comprises, among others, the back-to-school loan, which will be the featured facility at today's all-important launch. The Student Revolving Loan Fund is by no means new to empowering thousands of Barbadians, especially the youth, by providing loan financing. However, while it may be perceived that the SRLF caters primarily to recent school leavers, financing from the SRLF is very much available to all Barbadians, irrespective of their ages. And why is this important? Barbados now has to reskill and retool all of its citizens, including some that have recently retired, because our population is small and we need to have everyone re-engaged and operating at a much higher level. The SRLF has several affordable loan products that facilitate access for all Barbadians to various forms of higher education. Indeed, without access to these resources, many Barbadians would not have been able to pursue these educational opportunities, whether locally, regionally, or internationally. And as such, their respective aspirations would not have become a reality. This is evidenced by the approval in excess of 15,000 loans with a value of approximately $400 million since its inception almost 50 years ago. These loan payouts represented successive governments' commitment to the development of Barbados' human capital, given its limited natural resource base. Government is also aware that for Barbados to evolve and meet the demands of operating in the current global environment, the strategic investment in our people must take center stage in this evolutionary process. Such an investment would allow for the realization of the capacity necessary to ensure that our country can achieve its developmental objectives in key high-value sectoral areas. For example, cybersecurity and artificial intelligence, while at the same time earn valuable foreign exchange by becoming global citizens through the harnessing of exportable skills. And why is that important? If the bulk of your population are in low-paying jobs, then your tax revenue is low. If the bulk of your population is in low-paying jobs, consumption for your enterprises is low. The combination of those two will then jeopardize the capacity of Barbados to be able to deliver the social and economic services that it does to its citizens. Barbados can only succeed when our people succeed, and that is why our work, whether it's here in the Student Revolving Loan Fund, Ministry of Training and Tertiary Education, or Education Transformation, is absolutely essential. And it's important for us not just to turn up and do a job every day. It is important for us to produce results. And we'll know when we hit those results because we will see the changes in our families, in our schools, in our enterprises, in our community life, because we are so pivotal to the quality of life which we offer here in Barbados. The Student Revolving Loan Fund, therefore, must be viewed as a very important partner in this process. And in recognizing this, government, as you are aware, on May 13th, we piloted successfully through the House of Assembly the Student Revolving Loan Bill 2024, which builds on previous amendments to the first Act passed in 1976. The proposed changes under the new and improved regulatory framework will benefit the SRLF through the incorporation of key components of the Public Finance Management Act 2019 in its day-to-day operations, enhancing the corporate governance structure of the SRLF by establishing an expanded board of directors to replace the management committee, expansion of the professional expertise of the board of directors by allowing for experts from the field of accounting, finance, and the legal profession, and widening the customer base of the SRLF by allowing lending to parents and guardians of students, in addition to introducing various new loan products, thereby expanding our lending capabilities. So our presence here today is a further testament of the critical role of the SRLF, what it must play in our country in terms of meeting our educational and training goals. It is anticipated that the revised regulatory framework, in addition to the previously cited benefits, will result in the improvement in its collection effectiveness, resulting in a reduction of the delinquency of its loan portfolio, and the SRLF being placed on a trajectory of sustained growth and efficiency. So, ladies and gentlemen, the expansion of the loan offerings under the EDUFLEX umbrella provides unequivocal proof of the importance of the need to review and, where appropriate, revamp the organization's products in order to remain responsive to market trends and, by extension, Barbados development requirements. Notably, the offering of training in areas of cybersecurity and artificial intelligence is a prime example where the organization has catered to the existence of opportunities stemming from the burgeoning digital revolution. This perfectly aligns with government policy to not only expose Barbadians to some of the latest techniques in the information technology world, but also provide meaningful job opportunities for hundreds of young persons at decent wages. Therefore, the EDUFLEX suite of products, consisting of the back-to-school loan, the tech loan, and the professional training loan, can be viewed as an important phase of the SRLF's continuing efforts to strategically diversify its loan products. With particular reference to the back-to-school loan, traditionally the SRLF has focused on financing tertiary studies. However, a market has developed over the years to provide funding also to persons in secondary and primary schools to assist with school expenses. And all of us know how expensive it is to outfit one child for school. Imagine if you have 3 or 4 or 5, and you have to face this every year. In addition, there are other educational expenses outside of tuition and books that can be facilitated by way of this loan financing. This form of financing can therefore be viewed as an affordable means of investing in our children's future. As the RLF continues to be innovative with the launching of the back-to-school EDUFLEX loan facilities, recognition must also be given to the management and staff for ensuring the organization is able to carry out its mandate to be the preferred financial institution in Barbados for tertiary education finance. I congratulate you on that. The prudent management of SRLF's resources, both financial and human, coupled with the reorganization undertaken between 2022 and 2023, certainly augurs well as it relates to government's ability and obligation to ensure its citizens receive the requisite training to meaningfully participate in the global economy. The contribution of the SRLF in transforming the lives of Barbadians has not gone unrecognized by the government. In 2023, the SRLF was awarded the inaugural Public Sector Award, a clear indication of the years of hard work and dedication to servicing its clients, coupled with the success of its strategic reorganization. This translated into the SRLF operating with a greater level of efficiency when compared to previous years. And yes, you can clap for that. It is also important to recognize that in order for the SRLF to perform its role successfully, the organization must remain both relevant and solvent. As indicated by its name, the Student Revolving Loan Fund must collect the funds that it lends, otherwise the other aspect of the core business of the SRLF, the disbursement of monies to borrowers, would be jeopardized. The SRLF therefore has worked assiduously over the years to ensure that resources were available to meet the demands of Barbadians seeking to upgrade their education, and the task of encouraging borrowers to service their obligations has become a major focus of the organization, as exemplified by the recent Repay and Pass It On campaign, which encouraged persons in arrears to settle their debts to the organization. So this campaign, which ran for a period of 6 months and which will now become a central theme in the effort by the SRLF to ensure timely repayments, has proved to be beneficial in not only improving collections, but also highlighting the importance of repayment, as monies received would form the basis of future disbursements. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, I wish to express my gratitude to you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join us in launching this suite of products under the EDUFLEX brand. Let us wish the SRLF all success as it continues to enhance the training and educational landscape of Barbados.
Thank you, Minister, for that insightful presentation on the role of the fund. I know the Minister is pressed for time as she has another engagement, so we will just pause for a second while the Minister and Permanent Secretary McCaskey depart the proceedings at this juncture. Again, thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with the items on our agenda. It also gives me great pleasure to introduce our Chief Executive Officer, Mr. Ambrose Johnson, who will say a few words about the EDUFLEX initiative, in particular the Back to School loan facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and again, thank you all for coming to this occasion. My role here is simple. I will attempt to provide you with additional information in terms of what is EDUFLEX and to answer two questions. Why EDUFLEX? And as I said, give a little more detail about what EDUFLEX is all about. And to do that, I will just give you a brief history about the SRLF in terms of its loan products. Before, beginning in 1977, we offered one loan up till about 2015, 2016, and that was a traditional educational loan. And that loan was so structured that if you wanted to go on to do further studies, you would have to liquidate that loan before you could get additional financing from the SRLF. Recognizing that need, we introduced what we call a top-up loan, so that persons who have an existing loan, for example, for their undergraduate degree, want now to go on to do their graduate degree, they don't have to liquidate that loan, but can top up that loan to pursue further education. And then continue to see the need. In the midst of COVID, we introduced our digital transformation loan. Why then? Because most persons, in terms of their mode of education, was online, and they needed computer facilities in order to facilitate their education. The digital transformation loan, we are also rebranding that currently to be part of the educational EDUFLEX suite of products. So what is the EDUFLEX? It's a suite of products that we have carefully designed to try to meet any educational expense that Barbadians may have. And while we are starting with 3, the strategic intention is to continue to increase those suite of products as we respond to the need of the markets. But why EDUFLEX? The educational landscape has changed. And as you know, the cost of education has increased, and also the various tools we need for education also has varied. And therefore, recognizing that need and that the educational landscape has changed, we are determined to respond to those changes. Our goal at the SRLF is to be able to finance any educational expense that the Barbadian public may have, to ensure that there's no restriction to education because of lack of financing. The Back to School loan, which we will specifically promote over the summer, as was mentioned, I think many of you would have had the experience like I had when I was purchasing books for my daughter when she was in primary school. The cost of those books, when you had to go from store and buy different books. So the Back to School loan is designed to defray those expense costs. And as the minister would have mentioned, if in my case at that time there was only one, but if you have 2 or 3 children, how those costs can add up. The flexibility in the product, in that we offer 2 rates across the various products, a 6% if it is secured, and an 8% if it is unsecured. And we looked at that rate, and we are convinced that that rate is the lowest rate you will get in the market for loans of this nature. And the loans are in the reducing balance because, again, the intent is not to impose any additional financial burden on persons, but to make available products that can satisfy the need at a reasonable cost. The terms are also flexible in terms of the repayment terms. And we have a variety of options that we would extend to persons to make sure that the repayment is affordable. Also, the loans are designed in such a way that if you have a loan in year 1, once you repay the loan, you don't have to go through the whole application process. There's certain information you may have to update, but then we would top back up that loan to the previous level. Again, trying to make the facility as easy as possible. So that is the reason behind the EDUFLEX suite of product. What EDUFLEX is and why EDUFLEX. At this juncture, if the press have any questions, we will take your questions. Go ahead, Mr. Thorpe.
What's the payment period?
Yeah.
Yes, Mr. CEO. What is the repayment period?
The repayment period is a maximum period of 36 months, which is 3 years.
That's
So it would depend on the amount, because the maximum, for example, back to school is 6,000. If a person borrow, let's say 2,000, because that's all they need, the repayment period may be 18 months or 20 months. But for the maximum of 6,000, the maximum repayment period is 36 months.
There are other tranches, and there are 10,000 for professional loans. That governs that repayment period governs the same covers right through the board, the spectrum.
Yes, because the professional loan and also the training loan, because, okay, professional person pursue a professional designation, but that loan is also for person who are doing training courses, let's say masonry, whatever skill set. And we increase that limit, but the repayment period, yes, is maximum 36 months.
And that's if whether it be the course of studies in Barbados or in the USA or the UK?
These loans are primarily designed while we expect that most persons that would take advantage of the loans are persons who are studying locally. It doesn't prohibit persons who may pursue a professional course overseas. And if the cost of that course go over this limit, then we have other products then that we will offer that individual depending on the cost. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Alan, could you adjust the mic, please?
Lorian Graham, Barbados City. You said that there are two rates, 2% for secured and 8%.
6%, please.
6%
6%.
for secured and,
We won't be able to pay our staff at 2%.
and 8% for unsecured. What are the requirements for you to get a secured loan?
The secured loan? Right. That's a good question, because up to 2010, the only way you could access a loan from the SRLF in terms of security was to offer two sureties. However, we've changed that dynamic since then, where we accept a variety of security. I'm just going to give you the general security that we accept, or may not be applicable to these smaller loans. We take mortgages and property, we accept land, we take government paper, for example, bonds, we take cash surrender value on insurance policy, etc., and we do take cash, and we hold the cash against the loans. So there's a variety of options in terms of the security that the person can offer. Applicable to these loans may be cash surrender value on insurance policy, shares in publicly traded company. We also accept that. That's also a short-term security that can be offered for these loans. And by so doing, we will reduce the interest rate because the risk associated with the loan is reduced. No burning questions about the SRLF. So we're good. Yeah. So what we're hoping to achieve is that all of you, including the staff who are invited here, to spread the word about the EDUFLEX suite of products, spread the word about the SRLF on the whole. Yes, about our loan offerings, and also spread the word about our Repay and Pass It On initiative, because we cannot lend money unless we collect money. So if you know some person that owes us, you can whisper in their ear. Thank you. So, yes, Mr. Thornton.
You'll be advertising in the schools, and this new one will be in secondary schools, etc.
Yes, and we have started that initiative by by sending an email blast to the various schools. You should hear the ads on the radio and on social media also from today. So all the media that we can get to, we will push the message out.
Officers from the ministry will go to schools as well?
What we have planned in the campaign, there are certain locations, different malls at different times. And yes, we will also engage the education. And yes, we will also engage the educational institutions in promoting these products. All right, thank you again.
thanks to our CEO, Mr. Johnson. We are advancing through the agenda quite smartly. I would like to take the opportunity, though, just to engage in a little bit more housekeeping. I can't even call it housekeeping at this stage. But I also wanted to specially offer a welcome to our selected invited guests, members of the press corps, of course, my esteemed colleagues from the SRLF, the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Tertiary Education and Training, who would have taken the time of their busy schedules to make this event a success, yeah? So I just wanted to give kudos to those individuals who would have worked tirelessly behind the scenes, in addition to those who also contributed in other means. Thank you for your time, yes?